First in the spotlight tonight is Paul Hillman, a nurse from London. He's answering questions on Joy Division. Next, Gareth Williams, a school teacher from Gloucestershire, on the Battle of the Somme. Madeline Grant is a student from Warwick. Her specialist subject, the novels of E.M. Forster. And Matthew May, a software developer from Essex. His subject, the sitcom The Big Bang Theory. Hello and welcome to Mastermind with me, John Humphreys. As ever, 4 contenders, 2 rounds of questions, and that's it. Sounds simple, but in truth it's pretty daunting when you sit in that black chair and have to face the spotlight and the clock. 2 minutes on their specialist subject, 2.5 minutes on general knowledge. So let's have our first contender, please. And your name is?
Paul Hillman.
Your occupation?
Nurse.
And your chosen subject?
Joy Division.
Joy Division in 2 minutes. Here we go. Joy Division were one of the pioneers of post-punk music in the late 70s. These Days was the B-side to their only UK top 20 hit. What was the single?
Transmission.
Love Will Tear Us Apart. The band's co-founder Peter Hook says that he borrowed £40 from his mother to buy a bass guitar the day after he'd seen the Sex Pistols perform at which Manchester venue in 76?
That's Free Trade Hall.
Yes. The band played their first gig outside Manchester in June 1977 while still known as Warsaw. In which city was this gig?
Newcastle.
Yes, the band's debut release was an EP that came out in June 1978 on the Enigma label. What was its title?
An Ideal for Living.
Yes, at which disco in Manchester did the band play their first gig under the new name of Joy Division on 25th of January 1978?
Pips.
Yep. Ian Curtis committed suicide in May 1980. The band's second and final studio album was released shortly after in July. What was it called?
Closer.
Yes, in 78, Rob Gretton became the band's manager after seeing them perform at Rafters in a talent contest organised by 2 London record labels. Chiswick was one of them. What was the other?
Stiff.
Yep. After Ian Curtis's death, the 3 remaining members of the group formed New Order with the addition of Stephen Morris's girlfriend on keyboards. What's her name?
Gillian Gilbert.
Yes. Joy Division's European tour of January 1980 included concerts in Belgium, West Germany and which other country?
Holland.
Yes. Which of the band's tracks start here, here, everything is by design, everything is by design?
Pass.
In January 1979, the group recorded 4 songs for their debut on The John Peel Show. 3 of the songs were Exercise 1, Insight and Transmission. What was the 4th?
She's Lost Control.
Yes. Who designed the cover of the band's first album, Unknown Pleasures?
Peter Saville.
Correct. In early 81, New Order released a pair of Joy Division tracks as their first single. One was Ceremony. What was the other?
In a Lonely Place.
Yes, the 2 sides of Unknown Pleasures were titled Inside and Outside. She's Lost Control was the opening track of Inside. What was the opening track of Outside?
Disorder.
Yes. What's the name of the journalist and champion of the band who co-wrote Ian Curtis's obituary in the NME with Adrian Thrills?
Paul Morley.
It is correct. You had just 1 pass, Paul. The track that starts here, here, everything is by design, everything's by design is Auto-Suggestion. You've scored 13 points. And our next contender, please. And your name is?
Gareth Williams.
Your occupation?
School teacher.
And your chosen subject?
The Battle of the Somme.
Battle of the Somme, in 2 minutes. The Battle of the Somme was a major battle of the First World War with more than 1 million men killed or wounded, in which town was a conference held in December 1915 where a combined French-British offensive on the Somme was proposed.
Carrieux.
Chantilly. What did Captain W.P. Billy Neville of the East Surreys give to some of his men before they went over the top in order to encourage them to cross no man's land?
Footballs.
Yes. Which North American regiment was virtually wiped out on the first morning of the battle with more than 680 casualties suffered from 800 combatants?
Royal Newfoundland Regiment.
Yes, or the 1st Newfoundland. Who was the German chief of the General Staff at the beginning of the Battle of the Somme? He was replaced by Paul von Hindenburg at the end of August 1916.
Falkenhayn.
Yes. What was the nickname given by British soldiers to a shallow valley south of the village of La Boisselle, where the Germans flew an observation balloon? The neighbouring valley to the north of the village was known as Mash.
Sausage Valley.
Yes. Whose decision was it to detonate the mine under the Hawthorne Ridge redoubt at 7:20 a.m., allowing the Germans 10 minutes to get into position before the British went over the top?
Hunter Weston.
Yes. On the morning of the 15th of September 1916, the first tank used in combat, the Mark I, went into action in which battle?
The Battle of Flers-Courcelette.
Yes. What did the British troops wear on their back so that the progress of the advance could be seen from rear observation posts?
Tin triangles.
Yes. Which wood was taken at a heavy cost in the middle of July by the 38th Welsh Division that had been raised with the support of David Lloyd George?
Mametz Wood.
Yes. What was the name of the Major General known to his troops as Inky Bill, who was killed on the 22nd of July? He was one of the highest-ranked British casualties of the July Somme battles.
Billy Congreve.
Ingerville Williams. Which village did the 1st, 2nd and 4th Australian Divisions attack and hold between the 23rd of July and the 7th of August?
Pousier.
Correct. What was the name of the Major General who was dismissed for wanton waste of men after the 47th Division's successful but costly attack on High Wood?
Pulteney.
No, Bartet. The British Prime Minister's son was killed while he was leading the first half of 4 Company of the Grenadier Guards in an attack near Ginchy on the 15th of September. What was his name?
Raymond Asquith.
It was. No passes, Gareth. You've scored 10 points. And our next contender, please. And your name is?
Madeline Grant.
Your occupation?
Student.
And your chosen subject?
The novels of E.M. Forster.
E.M. Forster in 2 minutes. Here we go. In E.M. Forster's 1924 novel A Passage to India, Dr. Aziz is accused of assaulting Adela Quested during a trip to a group of caves. What are the caves called?
Marabar.
Yep, in A Room with a View. What's the name of the hotel where Lucy Honeychurch and her cousin Charlotte Bartlett first meet George Emerson?
Bertolini Pensione.
Yes. What is the profession of Gino's father in Where Angels Fear to Tread?
Dentist.
Yep. In The Longest Journey, what's the name of the town where Ricky and Agnes go to work in the school where her brother's headmaster?
Sawston.
Yep. In Howard's End, which piece of music does Forster describe as the most sublime noise that has
Beethoven's
ever
Fifth.
penetrated into the ear of man?
Beethoven's Fifth.
Correct. In A Passage to India, Professor Godbold sings to Mrs. Moore and Adela at Mr. Fielding's tea party. He explains afterwards that it's a religious song and he put himself in the position of a
Wasp.
milk maiden. What sort of flowers cover the terrace on which George kisses Lucy when the party of English people staying in Florence drive to Fiesole in A Room with a View?
Violets.
Yes, in the novel Maurice, what is the name of the public school that Maurice Hall attends, where he's a prefect and a member of the First 15?
Sunnington.
Correct. Who kidnaps Lilia and Gino's baby in Where Angels Fear to Tread?
Harriet Herriton.
Yes, what objects do Henry Wilcox and Margaret Schlegel find stuck into the bark of the wych elm tree as he tells her about how he had modernised Howard's End?
Teeth.
More?
Pig's teeth.
Yes, in A Passage to India, when Fielding returns to India with his wife, Aziz thinks he's married Adela. Who was Fielding married instead?
Stella Moore.
Yep, in The Longest Journey, when Ricky's staying at Stuart Ansell's house, there's a harp hanging on the wall of his bedroom. What 3 words are written on it?
Pass.
From which seasonal affliction are the male members of the Wilcox family suffering, according to a letter that Helen Schlegel writes to her sister Meg from Howard's End?
Hay fever.
Correct. In The Longest Journey, when Stephen's returning from Salisbury, he picks a fight with a shepherd who he felt had been disrespectful when he and Ricky had set out. What's the shepherd's name?
Fleance.
Yes, or Flea Thompson. In A Passage to India, in which city were Adela and Ronnie to be married? She'd been invited by some cousins who had a house there.
Chandrapur.
Simla. And your time's up just before I got into the next one. Madeline, 1 pass. In The Longest Journey, there's a harp hanging on the wall of the bedroom, and the 3 words written on it are watch and pray. But you've scored 12 points. And our final contender, please. And your name is?
Matthew May,
Your occupation?
software developer.
And your chosen subject?
The Big Bang Theory.
The Big Bang Theory sitcom. Here we go in 2 minutes. The sitcom The Big Bang Theory is centred on 4 geeky scientists and their friends, including the aspiring actress Penny. According to the theme song, when the Earth began to cool, who began to drool?
The Autotrophs.
Yes, after Sheldon let Stephen Hawking win in an online game of words with friends, Hawking asked, what do Sheldon Cooper and a black hole have in common? What punchline does Hawking provide?
Pass.
While trying to find a way into Penny's ex-boyfriend's apartment block to retrieve her television set, Leonard notes his and Sheldon's combined IQ. What is it?
340.
360. Which word game do Leonard, Sheldon, Howard and Raj play using Klingon instead of English in the Panty Pinata polarization?
Boggle.
Yep. What scientific principle is Sheldon's black and white striped outfit supposed to represent at Penny's Halloween party?
Doppler effect.
Yes, when Sheldon states that Star Trek IV, The Voyage Home, is unarguably the best Star Trek film, Raj says, I have 3 words for you. What are they?
Wrath of Khan.
Yes. Which fantasy role-playing game do Penny, Amy and Bernadette play with the boys after abandoning their planned trip to Las Vegas in The Love Spell Potential?
Dungeons and Dragons.
Correct. What nickname is Howard given by NASA's Mike Massimino when he is selected to be an astronaut for a mission to the International Space Station? He always wanted to be called Rocket Man.
Fruit Loops.
Yep. Sheldon, Leonard, Howard and Raj queue unsuccessfully at the Colonial Theatre to watch a new version of a film that has 21 seconds of previously unseen footage. Which film?
Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yes, when Sheldon uses his family history to try and calculate when he's going to die, he writes on a whiteboard that his Uncle Carl's cause of death was KBB. What does that stand for?
Killed by Badger.
Yes, in the Lobenfeld Decay, Penny gets a role in a workshop production of which musical?
Rent.
Yep. In the Peanut Reaction, Sheldon tells Penny that his parents got him a motorised dirt bike for his 12th birthday. What present did he want instead?
Titanium centrifuge.
Yes. Which superhero does Raj dress up as for Stuart's New Year's Eve costume party at the comic book store?
Aquaman.
Yes, Aquaman is absolutely correct. You had 1 pass. The punchline that Hawking provided after Sheldon let him win was, they both suck. Yes, quite. 1 pass, Matthew, you have 11 points. Well, that was close. Let's have a look at all of the scores. In 4th place with 10 points, Gareth Williams. 3rd place, 11 points, Matthew May. 2nd place, 12 points, Madeline Grant. 1st place, 13 points, Paul Hillman. So the general knowledge round now, and if there is a tie at the end of it, then the number of passes is taken into account, and the person with the fewer passes is the winner. And if they're tied on passes as well, there will be a tie break, and the 6 highest scoring runners-up in these rounds will also be able to claim a place in the semi-finals. So plenty to play for. Let's get on with it and ask Gareth to join us again, please. And you start out with 10 points. Your knowledge of the Battle of the Somme, and you've got 2.5 minutes for your general knowledge. So, here we go. The 1960 novel To Kill a Mockingbird tells the story of a small-town lawyer's defence of a black man in Alabama. Who wrote it?
Harper Lee.
Yeah. Which country was mostly ruled by the House of Savoy when it united in 1861 until 1946, when it voted to become a republic?
Italy.
Yep. In church architecture, a Hertfordshire spike found on top of a tower is a type of what?
Spire.
Yep. In which Tyneside town did the Sage Centre, a dramatic concert hall complex designed by Norman Forster, open in 2004?
Gateshead.
Correct. What common name for the vegetable okra or gumbo comes from the appearance of its pods?
Pea pods.
Lady's fingers. What Greek word meaning dispersion is used to describe the displacement of a people from their original homeland, especially that of the Jews beyond Israel?
Diaspora.
Yes. What name is given to a light horse-drawn carriage, especially for 1 or 2 people? It comes from the French word for chair.
Chaise.
Yes. In which country were the composers Gustav Holt and Frederick Delius born?
What country?
Yep.
England.
Yes. Who wrote the novel Madame Bovary, a realistic portrayal of bourgeois life? It was condemned as immoral when it was first published in 1857.
Flaubert.
Yep. The rumen, the reticulum, the omasum and the obamasum are the 4 chambers of an organ in a ruminant mammal. Which organ?
Stomach.
Yep. In which American sport are the Rose Bowl, the Orange Bowl, the Fiesta Bowl and the Sugar Bowl prestigious post-season competitions
American
at college
football.
level?
Sorry, beg your pardon, American football.
Indeed. Which television crime series is based on the activities of the pathologists at the Thomas Lyell Centre, a high-tech laboratory?
Waking the Dead.
No, Silent Witness. Which Southeast Asian country's 2 largest islands are Luzon and Mindanao?
Philippines.
Yes, the popular image of Santa Claus, Father Christmas, is based on traditions associated with which saint?
St Nicholas.
Yes, in 2013 it was announced that Jane Austen and her famous line, "I declare after all there is no enjoyment like reading," will feature on a £10 banknote. From which novel does that quotation come?
Sense and Sensibility.
Pride and Prejudice. Who topped the UK singles charts in December 2013 with a cover version of Keane's Somewhere Only We Know, after it was used in a Christmas advert for a well-known department store?
Lily Allen.
Yes, Montana, which flowers profusely in early spring, is a variety of which genus of climbing plants?
Ivy.
Clematis. In the Church of England, what name is given to a bishop appointed to assist a diocesan bishop in an area of his diocese?
Suffragan Bishop.
Yes, the trio of Japanese macaques that feature in many Buddhist myths and folk tales are known as the three what?
Wise Monkeys.
Yes, John Tyler became the 10th holder of which office when he succeeded William Henry Harrison on his death in 1841?
President of the United States.
Indeed. No passes, Gareth. 26 points now. Hello, Matthew, again, please. And you start out with 11 points. 26 is the score to beat, at the moment anyway. Here we go. The skull cap, or zucchetto, worn by the Pope is a symbol of his rank. What colour is it?
Red.
White. Who played the cool, leather-jacketed Arthur Fonzarelli, who cruised the streets of Milwaukee on his motorbike in the television series Happy Days?
Henry Winkler.
Yes. Which conflict is the subject of Laurie Lee's third volume of autobiography, A Moment of War?
Pass.
James McNeill Whistler sued a critic after he wrote that Whistler's The Falling Rocket was throwing a pot of paint in the public's face. Whistler won the case but received only a farthing in damages. Who was the critic?
Ruskin.
Yes. Which British athlete's world record for the 400 metres hurdle set at the World Championships in 1993 was beaten by the American Kim Batten 2 years later?
Pass.
Which town's largely ruined 12th century castle houses the Museum of Somerset, home to the famous Froome hoard of Roman coins?
Exeter.
Taunton. What was Red October in the film The Hunt for Red October, the
Submarine.
first film based on the Jack Ryan novels by Tom Clancy?
Submarine.
Yes. What name is given to a traditional Japanese poem of 17 syllables, usually divided into 3 lines of 5, 7 and 5 syllables?
Haiku.
Yes. Which song, particularly associated with Willie Nelson, has provided both Elvis Presley and the Pet Shop Boys with UK hit singles?
Pass.
Which country that joined NATO in 1952 is the organisation's most easterly member?
Indonesia.
Turkey. What soft drink, now often used as a mixer with alcoholic drinks, was invented by the chemist Joseph Priestley in 1767 while he was experimenting with fixed air, now known as carbon dioxide?
Soda water.
Yes. Which was the first full-length novel to feature Sherlock Holmes?
Sign of Fall.
A Study in Scarlet. Which King of England was deposed in favour of his eldest son and murdered at Berkeley Castle in Gloucestershire in September 1327?
Edward II.
Yes. Whose waltz compositions include Tales from the Vienna Woods?
Strauss.
Yes, Johann Strauss the Younger. The katydid, so-called because of its repetitive call, is closely related to another insect. Which one?
Grasshopper.
Yep. A major figure in British filmmaking first became involved in the industry in 1933 when he founded the Religious Film Society to promote films with a strong moral message. Who was he?
Pass.
Which dairy product was used mainly as an ointment rather than as a foodstuff by the ancient Greeks and Romans?
Cheese.
Butter. What is the surname of the father and daughter who've been the 2 presidents of the right-wing Front National political party in France?
Le Pen.
Yeah. What herb native to southern Europe is similar to celery in flavour and, as its name suggests, was once used in love potions?
Hearts.
No. Lovage.
Lovage.
Hence the love potions.
Yeah, that, yeah.
4 passes, Matthew. Rank. J. Arthur Rank wanted religious films to be promoted. Always on My Mind was that song, specially associated with Willie Nelson. Sally Gunnell won the record and then had it taken away from her a couple of years later. And Laurie Lee's A Moment of War was based on the Spanish Civil War.
Spanish.
Yeah. Anyway, Matthew, you've now got a total of 20 points.
Thank you very much.
And now, Madeline again, please. And you start out with 12 points. So 26 is still a score to beat. Let's see if you can do it with your 2.5 minutes of general knowledge. Here we go. Pulp Fiction, starring John Travolta, Samuel L. Jackson and Bruce Willis, was the second feature film to be directed by which well-known filmmaker?
Tarantino.
Yeah, which of Shakespeare's comedies is partly set in the Forest of Arden?
As You Like It.
Yes, what French word for a hairdresser has passed into the English language and is sometimes used to refer to a particularly fashionable or artistic hairstylist?
Coiffeur.
Yes, which country is home to the tuatara, a lizard-like reptile often referred to as a living fossil?
Indonesia.
New Zealand. What was the title of the 1957 UK hit for Little Richard that opened with the lines, a wop bopaloo bop a lot bamboo?
Tutti Frutti.
Yes, which writer's first major literary work was a walk from Holman's Canal to the east point of the island of Amager in the years 1828 and 1829? He's better remembered for fairy stories such as Thumbelina.
Hans Christian Andersen.
Yes, which West Yorkshire city is surrounded by the 5 towns of Castleford, Pontefract, Nottingham, Featherstone and Normanton? It's the county's administrative headquarters.
York.
Wakefield. What was the name of the New York jeweller who adopted the sterling standard of English silver in 1851? It became the recognised standard throughout the United States.
Karat.
Tiffany. In 1997, the Indian author Arundhati Roy won the Booker Prize for her novel entitled The God of...
Small Things.
Yes. Which opera by Rossini is, in effect, a prequel to Mozart's The Marriage of Figaro?
Barbara Seville.
Yes. Graham Taylor and Sir Elton John are the honorary life presidents of a football club. Which one?
Reading.
Watford. In America, what name was given to the line that, together with the Ohio River, was regarded as the dividing line between the slave-owning states to the south and the free-soil states to the north?
Mason-Dixon.
Yes. In which 2007 animated film does a rat called Remy become a top chef in a restaurant in Paris?
Ratatouille.
Yep. What was the ancient Roman name for the region comprising modern-day France and Belgium, as well as parts of some neighbouring countries?
Gaul.
Yes. In a television comedy series first screened in January 2014, Beef, Bosh and Julie are among the uninvited guests who turn up at Bod Mortimer's house. What's the series called?
One Foot in the Grave.
House of Fools. Which country became landlocked when its loose federation with Montenegro came to an end in 2006?
Serbia.
Yes, the Benedictine monks at an abbey in Devon have been producing a tonic wine since they came over from France in the late 19th century. Which abbey?
Pass.
Which figure of Greek mythology was known as Proserpine by the Romans?
Persephone.
Yes, a marine arthropod often found in fossils, which is notable for its segmented body and hard exoskeleton, is named after the 3 lobes that its body is composed of. What's it called?
Pass.
In February 2014, Janet Yellen replaced Ben Bernanke as chair of the board of governors of an American banking authority. Which one?
IMF.
No, the Federal Reserve. 2 passes. That marine arthropod is the trilobite. And Buckfast Abbey, that's where they produce that wine. I think it's still sold, isn't it? Madeline, 24 points. And finally, Paul again, please. And you start out with 13, Paul, and 26 is still the score to beat. Let's see if you can be the one who does it. Here we go. 2.5 minutes, general knowledge. Dufftown in north-east Scotland claims to be the world capital of what alcoholic drink?
Whiskey.
Yep. A female figure from Arthurian legend was the subject of a series of drawings and paintings by Holman Hunt and an 1832 poem by Tennyson. Who was she?
The Lady of the Lake.
The Lady of Shalott. Which Staffordshire town was Sir Robert Peel's constituency, has a pig breed named after it, and is the home of the Reliant Robin?
Tamworth.
Yes. 2 of the English classic horse races are for fillies only. The Oaks is one. The other celebrated its 200th anniversary in 2014. What's it called?
1,000 Guinness.
Yes. What word can mean either a small dried grape or the wife or concubine of an Eastern potentate?
Sultana.
Yeah. Which American harmonica player was largely responsible for raising the instrument to classical concert status?
Pass.
What word of Greek origin, meaning representing the whole Christian world, was used to describe general councils of the early church and is now commonly used for gatherings of Christians from several traditions?
Synod.
Ecumenical. What term is given to the ceremony that celebrates the completion of the basic structure of a new building when the highest course is laid?
Pass.
Who co-wrote, directed and played the title role in the 1983 film Yentl?
Barbara Streisand.
Yes. In which country did the breakfast cereal muesli originate?
Sweden.
Switzerland. What do the letters Na stand for in the name of the complex chemical substances whose main forms are found in DNA and RNA?
Nucleic acid.
Yes, only one country has both the equator and the Tropic of Capricorn running through it. Which country?
Argentina.
Brazil. Which alpine peak does Byron describe as the monarch of mountains in his poem Manfred?
Matterhorn.
Mont Blanc. A controversial novel by Bret Easton Ellis was made into a film starring Christian Bale in 2000. What's the novel called?
American Psycho.
Yes, one of the founding members of the Rolling Stones was found dead in his swimming pool just weeks after leaving the band in the summer of 1969. Who was he?
Brian Jones.
Yes, who led Britain's first Labour government that briefly held office from January to November 1924?
Ramsay MacDonald.
Correct. Which family of birds does the seed-eating crossbill belong to?
Hawks.
Finches, who joined the cast of EastEnders in January 2014 as the retired Billingsgate fishmonger Stan Carter, the father of Shirley, Mick and Tina Carter.
Pass.
Lucky Jim, published in 1954, was the first novel by which English author?
Kingsley Amis.
Yes, the Palestinian resistance movement founded by Sheikh Ahmed Yassin in Gaza in 1987 is generally known by an acronym that means zeal or fervour in Arabic. What's the acronym?
Hamas.
Hamas is correct. You had 3 passes. Timothy West joined the cast of EastEnders in January 2014. Topping out is what they do when they get to the top of the building, of course. And Larry Adler was the great harmonica player. Paul, 3 passes, 24 points. Well, very close contest. Let's have a look at all the scores there. In 4th place with 20 points, Matthew May. Joint 2nd place, 24 points apiece, Paul Hillman and Madeline Grant. 1st place, 26 points, held on to the lead, Gareth Williams. Which means that Gareth is tonight's winner, and he goes through to the semi-finals. Congratulations to him. And if you would like to be a contender on the next series, do go to our website, bbc.co.uk/mastermind, and you can follow us on Twitter @mastermindquiz. And do join us again next time for more Masterminds. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.